Well, hello everyone. You have right here, I'm talking about what you call, whenever it comes to painting portraits right here, and we're talking about an anniversary painting or some painting like that. But I'm also talking about is to where that you with most paintings that whenever you do look at them, and 102 is to where that yeah you want to go ahead and paint the picture right here. If the person right here looked young right here, and but I'll go ahead and paint right here a little bit more right here. This pit right here will be a painting port right here of your mom right here, my mom, and like anybody says, to where if you're going to be painting a picture, if it's for Mother's Day or if it's for any sorts of anniversary, right, that you're 102 to go ahead and paint in some of the details right here of the hair right here, and so like everybody say, yeah, really, why would any artist really want to spend so much time with the brushes and maybe with the colors and everything, just to kind of blend all the colors in for yeah, for the hair and everything. But still, you want to put a little bit more some artistic detail into it, just because, just to put more detail in there, just because of the fact that yeah, it's some of your free like yeah. Whenever it comes to painting a painting of a picture portrait right here, and that goes toward okay, yeah, that you got one painting right here that shows single, and the one that shows engaged, and one that shows married, and so a lot of times it sure seems that way. That whenever you think about a painting right here, and everybody might even want to know too is toward it, yeah, that this is what I look like. Yeah, this is what I look like before, I was dating, and of course this is what I look like whenever yeah. So anybody's going to more likely be asking a question as to where, yeah, for sure. If you're going to go ahead and paint somebody's picture, you want to go ahead and paint them as like if they were young looking, and so it's like, yeah. So each time you think about that in 102, that you go ahead and paint their picture right here, and 110 is like yeah, that whenever you do look at a painting right here, and 110 that this right here is supposed to be an anniversary painting right here. But one idea that I came up with right here was actually for a profile image right here. So it's like, yeah. So each time you do think about that, and you're warned to where that okay, yeah, that whenever it comes to a painting right here, and want to know that whenever it comes to working on any sorts of painting, that I want to talk about everybody here was the eyes right here. So like let's just say that everybody might even say that really, what does that usually mean whenever you're looking at somebody, and then but you can see a reflection right there, like a little star reflection inside the eyes right there. And want to know that I'm like, yeah, that so each time you think about that, and you're warned to where that okay, yeah, what does that really even mean whenever the eyes start changing, like yeah, they start changing color, or something like that, that little twinkly type eyes right there. And so I'll go ahead and put a little bit of white and blue right here for the eyes right here, but just to kind of make the eyes glow just a little bit. And so each time you think about that, then you're 102 that does that represent happiness? And a lot of times any psychologist might even say too that whenever it comes to meeting somebody, I'm like talking about yeah, whenever you look at somebody's eyes a lot of times, that can you really tell by the eyes, right? But still about about your happiness right here. And another thing that I want to talk about right here, or talk about for just ask the questions right here. And so everybody might even say too that yeah, just ask. Yeah, just ask. My mom and dad for sure would probably say this toward, yeah, for sure, that do you think on average that whenever you ask the questions a lot of times, that, whenever you ask nicely a lot of times, does that usually mean is toward, okay, yeah, if it's for a favor, or like maybe if they're just curious to know, or whichever it is. But still, it's like, so every time you think about that, and you're warned to where that whenever we do talk about the just ask right here, and you're thinking is toward, okay, yeah, just ask. And a lot of times it's like you're thinking is toward, okay, yeah, you go ahead and ask the questions right here, but you're also warned too is toward it that yeah, that whenever you do ask the questions a lot of times, and so it's like yeah, just ask. And but still, if you're going to be getting into conversations with mom and dad both about something, and for sure that it sure seems that way, is to where that yeah, unless if you ask a question or something like that, it seems like is to where yeah, you may feel like is to where, okay, yeah, it's another way of speaking up about something, by the way, and like everybody may say is to where yeah, it's all about yeah, a source of connection. It's a way of connection, and you can go ahead and just put connection if you want, but still, I have right here, I talk about for connection right here. So it sure seems that way that yeah, so if you're going to be having a conversation with mom, for sure, that you're always 102 is to where that whenever you do ask the questions a lot of times, it's like people might say that, well, really, that everybody else may say that whenever you do start the question, you start the conversations a lot of times, somebody's going to maybe say is to where, well, that's really none of your business, or really none of your concern about that. But still, but on the other hand, it's like when we do talk about just ask right here, that I notice that a lot of times is that whenever you do talk to somebody a lot of times, it's like, yeah, are you, yeah, you're able to get any source of feedback for sure. But it's like people might even say is toward it, whenever you do start conversations with mom or dad a lot of times, and you always want to know too that, yeah, that, whenever you do ask the questions a lot of times, that it seems like that most of those questions, by the way, seem to be is toward, oh, well, didn't you already ask me that question? Or if it was anything related to about the fact about that, maybe if you just don't know all the information or something like that. But like everybody else might say is that, whenever you do start a conversation with somebody like mom and dad both, and let's just say that if you're going to be if you're gonna, like, yeah, you go ahead and paint a picture right here, and everybody might think as toward, okay, yeah, this is you whenever you were young during the time. But a lot of times it's like, yeah, you actually and I can be honest with everybody here too, whenever you look at a photo, whenever you do look at a painting right here, or like a photo, or any source of anything, in like any source of collage or some kind, that you're able to remember things, and maybe that you do start conversations a lot of times. So it's like, so each time you do think about that, and you're warned toward it, okay, yeah, that I don't see. I'm like, yeah, you look at a painting like right here, but then at the same time, it sure seems that way is toward it. Work a little bit more on the hair right here, but like everybody says, to where we're really, does really anybody really want to talk about that? I'm like, yeah, this is what I look like when I was single, but then whenever I was going out with somebody, or whenever I was dating during the time, that this is what I look like. And it's like, so each time you think about that, and you're warned to where that, yeah, this is me on my senior year, or yeah, this is this right here was me right here whenever I was working over there, and so it's like, so each time you do look at a painted portrait right here, and you're thinking as to where that, whenever you do paint a picture, for somebody, and want to know too that, that's what you look like whenever you were single, and but still, it's like, whenever you do start conversations a lot of times with somebody, and it sure seems that way that, I mean, what is it that well, what's your source of reaction to that whenever you do, get, like, yeah, whenever you do talk to somebody about that? But like everybody else might say, is that, what do you usually call that whenever you do start a conversation with somebody, but then you're also able to tell, you're able to see a lot of this, their eyes, the way that their eyes look like whenever they had the conversation, like whenever somebody is talking about something and laughing about something, and maybe have any sorts of conversation really, but still, it's like, do you really see that in the eyes a lot of times? Whenever you do look at somebody's eye, a lot of times, do you see that a lot of times? To where that, what sorts of language do you necessarily see besides the hand movements? What sorts of language do you necessarily see whenever you do look into somebody's eyes like that? And the 102 is to where, like, the twinkle type look in the eyes right there. And you're probably thinking as toward, okay, yeah, well, does that really mean happiness, or does that just kind of mean as toward that you're just kind of observing the situation or something like that? But really, though, that but every time you think about that, and like everybody else might even say, is to, well, I think I kind of do know what that means just a little bit, like, just a little bit, maybe like a little, I can maybe put like everybody might say that, your engagement photo right here, you go ahead and draw in the details right here. And people want to know too, is to where whenever you ask the questions, and it was like, a lot of couples might even say that it was nearly 18 years ago whenever I popped the question to where that you were asking somebody to marry them, and whenever you were engaged, and 102 is to where that what is it? Well, what was what sorts of look do you think that they had? On their eyes, and so it's like, so whenever you're able to the reflections, and to be quite honest with you, everybody, that every time you do see a reflection like that in somebody's eyes, it seems like just a little bit like they are saying "pretty please," and a lot of times it's like, so whenever they do look at you, and let's just say if they're asking you for something or talking to you about something, and a lot of times it's like, so whenever you do see that, whenever you're talking to somebody and looking at somebody in the eye, and it seems like as to where that's usually a lot of times what I see right there is talking about, pretty please right here. And so anybody might even say too is that, if you're going to be engaged to somebody or talking to somebody, and 102 is that, you start these conversations a lot of times. And 102 is toward that somebody's going to be looking at you, and they're going to kind of give you what you call the sad look or something like that. Maybe if so it sure seems that way that anybody might even say too that if you had a gift, if you do have a gift for somebody, some sort of present for somebody. And 102 is toward, that, how come you didn't give it to them right away? And 102 is toward, well, really, I didn't think that they would like it. And so it sure seems that way that, so each time you think about that in 102, that, you go ahead and paint a portrait of somebody, and 102 is toward it, if we actually did this study right here, talking about the chemistry study right here, about what people were thinking about whenever you start talking to them about something, and at 102 is toward it, yeah, what sorts of look do you think that they have whenever you do, you walk up to them and you tell them that you like them, or if anything, it's related to about asking them to dance or something like that. And you're worried to where, okay, you don't even know really what they're going to say whenever you do start talking to them. And that's whenever it seems like, is to where that, you start talking to somebody and 102 that, you start talking to this person about stories, from nearly nearly 10 years ago or so, and you're always 102 is toward, okay, yeah, that this is what I look like whenever I this is what I look like whenever I was single. This is what I look like whenever I was in class, taking classes. This is what I look like while I was working, and so it's like, yeah, so this is what I look like whenever I, whenever you were, in your 50s, and of course whenever you were a senior, and like, yeah, so a lot of times it's like, so each time you think about that, and your 102 is that, looking at that picture right here, and 102, that, okay, yeah, if you're going to show this right here, something like this, for like a profile image right here, and you're thinking this toward, okay, yeah, then if you're going to use that for, the profile image right here, and want to know that, that's what I look like back whenever I was single, and, whenever I was engaged and I was working or something like that. Maybe that's what my driver's license picture looks like or something like that. But I actually, right here, that I thought about putting a little bit more detail right there for the mouth right there, like everybody says, toward Mom will be proud, like to where you go ahead and paint your picture, like want to know, go ahead and maybe add some flowers, and but still, it's like so each time I think about that, and I'm wondering to where that if this right here was supposed to be a painted portrait right here, but like everybody would maybe say is toward it, do you think that most designers would say is toward it, yeah, if you're going to be designing a portrait for sure, you would like to know is toward it, what's the best option that you can use for bringing your artwork to life, like to where the people can actually see what you're doing, and actually is toward it, you ask them, like, yeah, talk about for life drawing, for bringing your work, your artwork to life right here. I used to always thought that it was all about making it making it real artistic, to the point where people were able to recognize it. But there again, it's like you go ahead and include the artwork right here, and maybe like maybe 1 or 2 pages of a story or something like that, right here on the side. But I have right here this Photoshop work right here, and like most moms would even say too, that if you're going to be painting a picture of them, and 102, that you go ahead and paint their picture. It's like this is what they look like whenever I'm like, yeah, this is what I look like whenever I pop the question right there, to where that whenever you were dating, and whenever you were engaged to somebody, and it's like so almost all the time you always 102 that everybody might even say too that do most of us remember that surprising look that we had on our eyes, and that surprising look right there. The surprising look that I'm talking about is actually about the fact about whenever your eyes start glowing. Yeah, your eyes start glowing, so I can go ahead and make that a little bit lighter white right there, but I can go ahead and paint this right here if the eyes are glowing. So you have right here is the glowing eyes right here. And people might say is toward, okay, that that's what people look like whenever they're surprised, right? Whenever they're really surprised about something, like, yeah, whenever they're really surprised about something, is that what their eyes look like? And, but there again, it's like, each time you do, think about that, and you're warned to where, well, really, that, we didn't really take any photographs of what was going on during the time. So it's like, so whenever you do look at a painting right here, and you're always want to know too, does that painting right there necessarily tell you anything in particular, such as toward, okay, yeah, that you were talking to your fiance and want to know too that what exactly, what was their at whenever you did talk to them, whenever you were asking them the questions, and a lot of times it's like whenever you do ask, and whenever you do ask the questions, and it's like, yeah, if we're talking about asking the person to dance, or maybe if we're talking about asking this person if they would go out. I'm like, yeah, so like everybody might even say too that popping the question, what I mean by is to where you ask ask the person if you would ask them out on a date, or maybe, ask to marry them. And so it's like, yeah, so each time you think about that, and people might say is to where, well, really, that, yeah, almost all, anybody who has had that experience, that same experience before, would even say too, is to where it seems like that you really have to have something to give to them just to be able to start a conversation. A lot of times that's usually the case, right? You really have to have something to give to them, just for them to give you, their response. And let's just say that maybe if it's flowers, or maybe if it is maybe a special treat or something, like, yeah, something special. And so like everybody else might say is that when we do talk about special though, and you're 102 that, yeah, special. And so it sure seems that way that, whenever you do paint a picture right here, and you're 102 is toward how is it, is everybody really able to recognize what all that they're looking at right here? That right there, it's a painting portrait right here. But like everybody else might say is that, if you were to actually look at this right here, and a 102 is toward it, yeah, not everybody's really going to know who that is right there, but it's like one way of how that you're able to is to allow it to where that artwork can speak, to where, okay, yeah, this is this artwork right here means this, and this means that. And so it's like, yeah, so it's like but one thing that I did right here was actually put a little artistic detail right here for the eyes right here. And everybody might say that, well, really, if you did the same thing to the ears right here, and people might say that, yeah, well, really, that if you did anything real artistic to the ears right here, and people might say that, well, really, that yeah, your ears are open ears and all that, but every time you think about that, then you're 102 that do ears represent happiness? Do your lips represent happiness? And like everybody says to where, well, really, especially if we're talking about maybe with the tongue sticking out or something like that, but, still, that, talking about, whenever we talk about happiness, though, that, you're also thinking is toward it, that with happiness, that, how can you really tell that if somebody is really overjoyed, like everybody says, to where, okay, yeah, you go ahead and paint a picture for somebody, and you're 102 is to where, really, what is that really supposed to tell anybody whenever you do paint their portraits? And it's like, that's usually, I call that really just being creative, but everybody else would even say too is to where that if you're trying to tell that person something, for sure, everybody might say is to where that while you're working on the painting, though, for sure, and it's like, yeah, what exactly is it that you're trying to tell that person? And so it's like, yeah, so each time you think about that, then you'll want to know too that you put you paint the artistic details right here of the hair and the look right here. But it's like, yeah. So each time you do think about that, then you're warned to where, okay, yeah, that you want that, you're trying to make this, as artistic as you can, so that way you can go ahead and show mom here, and people always say is toward, yeah, that's what mom looked like whenever she was single, and so I'm like, yeah, everybody says toward, yeah, try, try not to look a little bit more, and so yeah, if that's what she looked like whenever she was single, right there, and your 102 is toward it, yeah, that but it's like you go ahead and paint a picture for somebody, and 102, really, what does that really mean whenever you do, like, yeah, like everybody says, toward it, that's not an actual photograph right there. With that right there is that's a painting right here. But really, that if it's really supposed to represent, like, yeah, if it's supposed to represent maybe for a theme or any sort of principle of design or something like that, to where that, whenever somebody looks at an artistic painting like this right here, and maybe that they're probably saying is toward it, yeah, that that that's something that you made. Yeah, it's something that you made, or like everybody else would even say too, that a number of times that you've had conversations with somebody talking about stuff that you're good at, right? And that's another reason maybe why, like everybody say, is toward it, yeah, if you want to show something, if you were to actually be talking to somebody about the stuff that you're good at, and you're always 102, that somebody's going to be asking a question to where that, okay, can you show me what is it that you do? Instead of talking about it, can you show me a little bit more about what you do? And but they have right here, yeah, with the painting right here, but like everybody says toward it, talk about with the layers right here, but talk about for anniversary right here, and then talk about for single right here, and so it's like, yeah, so this right here will be an example right here of mom right here, and whenever she was young right here, and everybody might even say too that you go ahead and paint a picture of somebody, and 102 is toward, okay, yeah, if you look real closely right here, and really, what sorts of language do you think that they're given whenever, I'm like, yeah, what exactly is it that they're looking at? Whenever you do, like, yeah, like anybody say, if you were to observe somebody and be talking to them, and then I'll just say that, you're warned toward it, do you really, like everybody says, toward about how well that you're able to read somebody's mind, and at 102 is toward it, you go ahead and talk to somebody, and one thing that you can mention about the painting, though, is that, how well, like, yeah, if you were to guess something, like, I would like to guess what you're thinking about. I'm just trying to get some information here about what exactly is it that you're thinking about, and what your mind is thinking about. And so whenever you do look at art like this right here, everybody might even say too that you always looked at it is to where it's all just made up. Like, and yeah, well, okay, well, it's nice, but we would actually like to have a photograph. We would like to see an actual photograph, but still. But I go ahead and paint a picture right here, just to show them, like, yeah, show everybody right here is the portrait right here for represent for an anniversary. But everybody would say is toward it, if you're trying to guess, if you're trying to think and try to test somebody about, how somebody's feeling, and maybe, exactly, Mike, you start talking to somebody and you're just trying to understand what is it that they're thinking about. And everybody might say is toward a number of times that you were not able to have that conversation at the very beginning, then maybe you could go ahead and just paint a picture and say is where, yeah, this is how I feel, or this is my emotional feeling during the time, or something like that. So, like, everybody might even say too that, yeah, for sure, you're gonna go ahead. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna go ahead and paint a picture, but like everybody say that, maybe if you just, if you know anybody who can paint the picture or something, but still. So every time you think about that, and people want to know too that you go ahead and paint a picture, and really, what is that really supposed to tell your audience whenever you do that? And every time I think about this, it sure seems that way, is to where just ask to dance or something like that. Yeah, like if you're going to be maybe at a party or maybe at any sort of gather group or something like that, somewhere like that, and 102 is to what exactly is it? What exactly is it that they were thinking about, before you went and asked the questions? And it's like, number one, were they even wobbling their eyebrows? And you got right here, go ahead and draw in the details right here, the eyelashes right here and the eyebrows. But yeah, so every time you think about painting, though, everybody might say is to where, oh, really, that I really don't know if that looks like you necessarily, but like how are people interacting with that? If they were to actually see that, see something like that printed on a large poster size right there, and at 102 is toward okay, yeah, especially on a greeting card. You see something like that on a greeting card, and it's like, really, what is that really telling you necessarily? And people might say is toward, oh, well, really, that everybody says to where you look at your portrait like that, and for sure that yeah, this is how we met right here, and so it's like, yeah, so every time everybody asks me that too, is that yeah, this is how we met right here, and yeah, this is how we met, and everybody says to okay, what were you expecting? Whenever you do, yeah, everybody might even say too that would you much rather meet at the movie theater? Would you much rather meet at the movie theater? Rather than compared to meeting at the gas station or maybe meeting, maybe at a truck stop or I'm like, yeah, like everybody say, yeah, restaurant or somewhere like that, but like everybody might even say too that yeah, this is how we met right here. But everybody might even say too that yeah, well, really, when have you met for sure? When have you met? When have you met that that was supposed to be a special moment, but there were times when have you did. There were times when have you did have to ask for assistance. There were times to where you didn't quite understand something during time. There were times whenever not everything was perfect, and so that is why it seems like everybody says to where that you would having something like this maybe printed out, maybe yeah, like everybody say, even on a napkin, you would maybe have to have something like this, printed out, just like okay, yeah, put on the front right here, but then on the back you would say, maybe easy to remember notes or something like that. Okay, what do I do in case of this situation were to go on or something like that? But everybody might even say too that yeah, back whenever you were single during a time, and like single and compared to married, and you want to know too that yeah, single. Back whenever you were single, and then back whenever you were yeah engaged, and whenever you were married, and so I'm like yeah, married. But anyway, yeah, I tell everybody that whenever you were engaged during a time, whenever you were single during a time, but it's like so each time you do think about that, and you're 102 that you do think about that about marital status, and whenever you think about engagement right here, and you're 102 is that yeah, you look like you were in your mid 30s and early 40s whenever you were engaged, and whenever you were talking to the person, and your 102 is that what exactly is it that you were thinking about? Whenever you pop the question, and it's like really, how can we really tell? Like everybody says, to where whenever you look at somebody's eyes for sure, if you see, if you see like a little, sign of happiness in their eyes, or maybe whenever you see a star look, or whenever you do see a reflection in somebody's eyes a lot of times, that's usually meaning overjoyed, or like that. That's just their interaction about the situation, right? So a lot of times, I'm like, a lot of times whenever you're able to look at somebody's eyes for sure, you're able to understand how they're feeling, and then of course, like everybody might even say too, that whenever you do look really closely into somebody's eyes, that's able, you're able to get a good idea about what exactly is it that they're thinking about and how they're feeling, and so it's like, you go ahead and start a conversation with somebody a lot of times, and it's like, you go ahead and start these conversations a lot of times, and you may want to know too, as to where I don't really know if a painting portrait is something that you would really want to look at, just because of the fact that it may not even look like you or something, but like everybody says, to where if you were to actually paint this, just because that, just to kind of like, whenever you think about somebody, for sure, you want to paint them young, but like everybody says, to where that, for sure, if you're painting their picture, for sure, that, you want to go ahead and paint them young, but, based on my experience, for sure, everybody might even say, too, that, really, what is the purpose to why you paint the portraits? And, it's like, well, really, I would like to show you some of my freehand work, and that's the main reason why I do that, is so that way I can show everybody some of my freehand work right here about how to bring the real artwork to life right here, like everybody says, to where that whenever you do paint a picture right here, by the way, that any sorts of communication, any sorts of connection right here, and like everybody say that with communication and connection right here, and so every time you think about that, then you're 102 that communication. Yeah, with communication, and so every time you do think about that, then you're 102 that the first thing that you do see whenever you do start a conversation, a lot of times, everybody might even say too that the first thing that you're thinking about, for sure, whenever you do meet somebody, you're able to see them, what they look like and all that, or maybe if anything that you were looking at something that they have put together or anything like that, like, what they look like on, while they were at work or something like that, or they've seen your picture or something like that, and, so every time you think about that, then you're always 102, is toward, you're trying to piece together the pieces of the puzzle right here, and you're always 102 is toward it, talk about for happiness right here, is toward, what does art really tell everybody? And like everybody else might say that, well, really, if you put that on wrapping paper especially, like if you had like a special type of gift wrap or something like that, wrapping paper, then you would be able to tell somebody that any source of communication, right? But still, somebody looks at the painting right here, and at 102 is toward, okay, you make it as artistic as you can, and like everybody says, toward, okay, that what you're trying to tell them is that I remember talking about that, or I remember having that conversation. So so each time you paint somebody's picture, for sure, what you really are doing is you're showing them some of your skills for what you can do, right? You've seen somebody's picture a lot of times, but how often are you really going to see any arts and crafts or anything else, if it's oil paintings or something like that? And everybody might say is to where anything creative for sure, but it seems like, people might say is to where, well, paintings are not really the same, but I really think is toward, well, really, whenever you paint somebody's picture, I actually find that to be really artistic whenever you can paint in the details right there of their eyes, what they look like whenever they read your messages. By the way, whenever they get a special gift from you, especially whenever they respond, whenever you receive that special package in the mail, especially, you know, you want to know what exactly is it that their response is, and a lot of times it's like, yeah, overjoyed, or if it's really about, okay, yeah. So, everybody else might say that, if you send a gift to somebody, for sure, that you're always 102, that, you're concerned about what they're going to think about, just because that's not really what they wanted. That's not really what they ordered. What they asked for earlier was something else. Everybody else might say that whenever you're going to be shopping for somebody for something, for sure, that the first thing that's going to come to your mind for sure is that, okay, yeah, I really don't even know if you're going to like what I'm about to give to you, and but still, it's like, so yeah, every time you do think about that, and your 102 is to where that you go ahead and include something on here that says, to and from, and to and from, right here. To and from, and like a gift tag and all that, but if everybody wants to know too, you can change typeface right here, but still, it's like so every time you think about that, and you're 102, that that whenever you're thinking about something, whenever you're shopping for somebody, for sure, you don't always know what that they like and what they want, and so that's why it seems like that people might say is that whenever you do think about that, for sure, that whenever you think about that, to and from right here, but you're 102, that if you're going to be shopping for a gift for somebody, for sure, that you're warned to where, okay, I was not able to talk to you about that, so that's why I'm like, I was looking around, and so all about the recording of the thoughts and feelings and communications, right? But every time I talk to my mom, for sure, like everybody says, to where you have conversations with your mom and dad, or maybe if it is with the cousin or sister or brother or anybody like that, and 102 is that you're always 102 is toward it. That are they always gonna like what you give them? And but still, it's like 102 is to where that, well, really, that you go ahead and take the extra time or so, just to be able to, like, so it's like, to and from right here. But every time I think about that, I always keep thinking too that that this person right here, of course, like they might even say that, number one, we already, I already have one, or something like that. I've already got one of those, or I don't even want that, or something like that. So So every time you think about going shopping for somebody, for something, somebody special, right? And you're always 102 that, how do you even know if they really want what you're about ready to order them, for them and all that? So how do you even know if they really could use it, and how do you know if they really want it? But, one way of how to, everybody say, well, for sure, I'm like, you can always take it back in case if they change their mind or something, but still, it's like, so far the gift options right here, it's like, your 102 is toward, okay, that, you think about that is toward it whenever you do, order something for somebody, for sure, even if it is a box of chocolates, that, the first thing, or if it could be the second thing, or maybe the third thing that comes to your mind is the fact that is to where, that really, what is, yeah, what is highly recommended for the top, for the top recommended brand or something like, yeah, if it's a makeup or maybe if it is anything such as maybe, perfume products or cosmetic products or anything like that. And, so everybody might even say is toward it, if you're going to be, talking to somebody, communication right here. So it's like, so every time you do think about that, and you're always want to know too that, that, everybody might say is toward it really. But like, really, what do you call it whenever you're talking about conversations that really never happen? Like everybody say, well, that's what you call a dream, right? That's called a dream. But, a dream is pretty much means is toward it, you're having conversations that never happen, but still, on the other hand, too, that when we do talk about, shopping for somebody in particular, that we're also talking about is toward it whenever you do want to shop for somebody, that you're thinking is toward, okay, that, whenever you do, whenever you're thinking about somebody and you're 102, the first thing that you think about is that, the things that they like. The things that they like, and that's the first thing that you think about. Well, don't we already have one, or don't we already have this? And but it's like, so every time you do think about shopping for somebody for something, and you're always wondering to where, okay, don't we already have one? But don't we already have that? But still, but everybody might even say too that, what do you call it? As toward it, for every gift of a pleasure, though. But really, that every time I think about gifts, by the way, I can be honest with everybody here too. Every time you do think about gifts, gift exchange, a lot of times, that what exactly is it that I'm like, I think about presentation. That's exactly what I think about right here. Yep. Every time you think about shopping for somebody, Yep, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. Everybody might say that every time you do think about a gift, by the way, I would probably include that. That's probably what I would say right here. Every time you think about a gift right here, you start a conversation with somebody, you show them how something works for sure. You go ahead and show me how. Show me how you do that. And, so it's like, you go ahead and show the person how you did that. But so I'll put that somewhere, right? But show you how. So every time you think about that right there in the 102, that really, what is the best answer for that? Whenever it comes to if you're going to be giving somebody something and then remembering somebody, and so you're always 102. That my response to that most of the time is going to be is toward it, I would like to show you something, and show you how. Any source of attention really, but still. A number of times that you've had dinner with somebody, and a number of times that you've gone out to eat or anything else that you were doing with somebody, you talk to somebody about something, but a lot of times, they're not really going to know what you're talking about unless if you actually show them what you're talking about. And everybody say that, really, what does that look like sideways, by the way? So if I, right here. So if I were to turn that vertically right there, and everybody might say that, okay, turn that vertically right there. Why do you think that, any designers might even want to know too, that, well, what's the purpose for why that you would want to do that? And everybody might say that, well, the main purpose to why you would want to do that for sure is because of the fact that, you're trying to fit it, and a lot of times it's like, put it on there sideways. A lot of graphic designers, by the way, would find that real relevant, and I know, like everybody might say too, that most graphic designers would say that that option would not be recommended, especially if you're trying to tell somebody something right away. You don't want to write sideways. Yeah, you don't want to write sideways. And if anything, maybe a thank you note or something like that. But I would really recommend doing that. Maybe if anything is to where if everybody would say is to where kind of like glitter, kind of like glitter or something like that. Show you how. And if you were to go ahead and write sideways like that, maybe vertical or something like that. But still, I don't see no purpose to why you would really, want to do that, but like everybody says, to where for sure, you want to experiment around with the tools and stuff, just so you can figure out, how most of them work and everything. But it's like, so every time you think about that, and you're 102, that, not everybody is really going to know what all that is, or what all they're looking at right here, so that's why it seems like, everybody's able to look at all that right there, and they're 102 that, I don't even know what this is, what that is, all that, but still. But like everybody says this to where I mainly want to talk about right here, but the eye look right here, just because of the fact that with the eye look, that whenever you talk to somebody, that you're 102, what exactly is it that they're thinking about, and 102 is that, the eyelashes right here. People might say that, if you want to do a little bit more work with the eyelashes right here. But it's like, with the eyelashes, that 102, what exactly is it that they're thinking about? And, but, the eyelashes right here. For whenever you do actually see somebody glow, their eyes glowing or something like, does that usually mean that they're impressed, with your work? And but still, it's like, so every time you do think about that, and you're warned, I'm like, a lot of artists would spend a lot of time putting in detail right there of, of the eyelashes, right there, just like that, and the eyelashes, and just to kind of get them everybody might even say too that, whenever you do look at the eyelashes like that, it's kind of makes it just a little bit cartoony type, like everybody might want to know too that, not trying to make it, too much cartoony right there, but mainly just showing right here is that, this is what your eyelashes look like, whenever we were having that conversation. Maybe if you were just waking up, if you've been asleep, for a couple of minutes or something like that, if you were napping, for the afternoon or something. People might say as to where, what exactly, what do they look like a lot of times? I don't know if everybody really wants to be reminded of that, by the way. I don't think you really want to be reminded about what you look like if you just woke up. Like everybody might say that, if you just woke up from a nap or something, and you're 102, that wake somebody up in the middle of the night or something like that. Like, and I want to give you something. I want to give you something special right here. But it's like, so every time you think about that, and you're always 102 that, but the amount of times it's happened, though, and you're 102 that, how is that person supposed to surprise you? For sure, like everybody says, to where really, is it really recommended for that person to be, not even fully awake, just so that way you can surprise them with something? And people might say that, well, for sure, that maybe that's another reason why, like everybody say, that doctors would maybe even say too, that is it really recommended? That's another reason maybe why that maybe you do have to be asleep, just for, just for somebody to surprise you. You look under your pillow, to see a surprise, right? And you're like, any sorts of surprise really that you see, but a lot of times that you're always one oh two that half the time it's like, do you really have to be half asleep and half awake, just to be able to, okay, just to be able to hear that surprise or something. But still, it's like either way that whenever you do look at a painting right here, and at 102 is toward it, everybody's able to at least like get a little understanding about what you put together right here so far as the painting right here. Like I say, this is what I look like whenever I was single, and this is how we met right here. And I really don't know, like everybody might say that, do you really you go ahead and talk about the story right there about this is how we met, but at the same time that you're always 102 that whenever you do meet somebody, is it really always the best time? Or if anything that you might say is to where, you didn't have everything ready whenever you first met the person, and so that's why it seems like that, when a lot of the uncertainty, for sure, a lot of the uncertainty, and so it sure seems that way that, uncertainty, right? And so every time you do think about that, the unknown, and so something that you can maybe talk to your mom about is toward unknown right here, and a lot of the unknown right here, and every time I think about that, I always think is toward that really that how do you in case if anybody's 102 is toward the unknown, but still, one, like everybody say, talk about for uncertainty, right? And so every time you do think about that, the way I'm looking at that right there, like everybody say, is like, for the unknown right there, but still, every time you do ask the questions for sure, it sure seems that way that, not everybody knows the actual positive answer to that question right there, but it sure seems that way that, every time you have a communication about something, though, that people might say is toward, if you actually did the study about that, doing typical chemistry and science, the data science right there, whenever you're able to communicate with somebody about something that, you're testing everybody's knowledge and testing everybody's sense, and then what sorts of typical mind thinking that they're thinking about. But it sure seems that way is toward, that, don't you think is toward it whenever we do talk about that source of connection, right? And 102 is toward it, what does it hold necessarily? And 102 is toward it, this is how we met right here, communication. But show you how. I'll show you how to do this. And so that's the type of stuff that I want to talk about right here. Talk about for the portrait right here, for the single picture, and then the portrait, from whenever you were engaged, and then the one from whenever you were married right here. But still, it's like, so whenever you do look at a painting right here, and thinking too is toward, okay, that, what exactly is it that they're thinking about? Whenever you do talk to them, you have conversations with somebody about something. And people might say is toward, that, another thing that you want to talk about is that, that's whenever you can tell when somebody is dreaming about something. And so that's why it seems like, they're dreaming about something. And so it's like, so every time you do think about that, then 102 that you're dreaming about having conversations with somebody, but still, it's like people may 102 is to where that you have conversations with somebody, and let's just say maybe if it's 3 weeks later, and you start talking to them about something, and a 102 is that it's thanks for sharing, for sure. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And you think that that's something that your mom would maybe say too? Like, sharing. Sharing pretty much means that you're letting somebody else look at something. You're letting somebody else use something. And I even told my mom before that whenever we do talk about sharing, that it's like everybody says to where really, why do you think that is the hardest part? And, sharing, whenever it comes to sharing, that pretty much means that you're letting somebody else use it, or you're spreading those ideas out to the community, and you're also presenting. I'm like, you're like, it's being passed around. It's being passed around the table. It's being passed around the group and all that. But still, it's like, so every time you think about that, and your 102 is to where that, why do you think that sharing is the hardest part? But still, in a lot of ways, I think it's all about is to where, you worked hard for your belongings and you worked hard for your stuff, and maybe you don't want everybody using, a lot of your things, especially if it's real special or if it's fragile or something, but still. But everybody might even say too, you got the share option right here. But every time you do think about that, it's like people might say that, whenever you do share something, that you're always 102. Well, whenever you do share something, a lot of times, what you're pretty much doing is to where you're allowing somebody else to use use this item, or you're allowing somebody else to see it. And so that's why it seems like, the doctors might say too, is to where how important is it to share something. And but at the same time, it's like, well, really, that 102 is toward sharing values and everything, but at the same time, it's like you're 102 that really, what is that really teaching you? Well, it's teaching you about the fact about that whenever you do talk about communication, this is how we met right here. It's over the fact about how much you learned, and trying to solve a problem. And a lot of times that's usually the case, right? But still, whenever we do talk about for just ask right here with communication, it's like, looking at a picture painting right here. I want to say, to and from right here. And, you show them how you arrived at that right there. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. And you talk about right here, I'm talking about whenever it comes to, understand about the portraits, about bringing the artwork to life right here. And a lot of times it sure seems that way that, every time you do think about artwork right here, people might say that, if you look real closely at it, for sure, it's going to tell you something, for sure. It's going to remind you of something. Every time I look at artwork, by the way, if you look real closely at that artwork, it's probably going to remind you of something. That's something for sure. That something could maybe a vacation, recent vacation, or somewhere, something that you saw. It's going to remind you of something for sure. And but still, so it's like, one of the main reasons, like everybody say, you go ahead and paint a picture, and 102, you paint that just because that it's going to show them, your ability for how well that your typical graphic design work. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.